welcome to this bedtime story with me, Louise Usher. Tonight we're going to read you Little Red Riding Hood All Grown Up. This was written by me and it should make you feel nice and relaxed. This is your time now for you to relax right down at the end of this day. Listen to this story and just completely know that you are comfortable, relaxed. It's time to switch off now. Time to let your brain feel more quiet. I hope you enjoy this bedtime story. If you fall to sleep, that's fine. Come back and listen again. Just allow yourself this time and space to listen to this story. Little Red Riding Hood. Now that she was 18, Red had learned to cook the most delicious lemon muffins, best served warm. As always, she was happy to bake for the family, and her mother specifically wanted her to take some of the muffins over to the cottage in the forest where her grandmother lived. Her grandmother had been poorly for some time now with heart failure. Aging fast, her taste buds had all but left her, and the sweetness of the muffins would be tasty for her. It's always the last taste to go, is the sweet one. The heat blast from the oven always took Red by surprise. Lemon-scented warm baking filled the room, and Red sniffed the air hard and internally hummed. Smiling, she laid the baking tray on the marble worktop and headed to reach for her red velvet cape. Despite the brightness of the sun's beams reflecting from the top of her white car bonnet, the April temperature had some chill to it. Besides, the cape always made her walk with some extra sash as it swished like a ball gown. In next to no time, Red was heading out with the muffins in her basket, leaving the car where it was, knowing that not only could she admire the beautiful newborn lambs in the field as she walked down the lane, but she really must keep aiming towards her 10,000 steps a day. Spring flowers were beautiful and made her smile. Knowing summer was on its way excited Red. She had big travel plans, depending of course on how Granny was. This should be her time now to get out and explore the world with the backpack. Red was always unsure if Mother understood this. She'd always been selfish, a powerful woman to put everything second to work and use those around her to fill her responsibilities instead. There would be a day when Red could spread her wings and be her own person. That day was approaching soon, she felt. The ground was particularly dry for this time of year, and fallen pine cones and leaves created beautiful scenes for her to shoot on her iPhone. Very Instagram worthy. Red quickly put the phone away, realising she needed to get these muffins to Granny while they were still warm. Walking faster, she could hear the hum of a vehicle in the distance. As the sound rumbled closer, she stepped up onto the grass verge with a stumble. Saving herself like an acrobat, she grinned at her own goofiness. A quad bike approached, with the local eligible bachelor riding it. The woodcutter who took care of the forest. Passing Red, he flashed her a smile and nodded his chiselled jaw downwards towards his chest to thank her for stepping aside to let him past. He looked at her for longer than he should have done. He was intrigued by her and that cape. Granny's house was covered in overgrown ivy and cobwebs. The CCTV camera looked like it needed some attention, but at least it still worked. They cleverly tapped it into their phones daily. "Granny, it's Red. I've something tasty for you," Red announced as she opened the door with her keys. Using a kind of singing voice, like you would do with a small child. Red shook her head at herself, wondering why she did that with an elderly person too. Granny didn't reply. Wondering why, Red opened the door of the bedroom. Fear and shock consumed her as she saw a wolf at the side of the bed, watching Granny with sharp teeth, showing through the growling noise. This wolf meant to cause harm, no denying it. Granny held the blankets as if they would save her, and moving only her eyes, flashed them over at Red as if to ask to be saved by the wolf. He took his gaze from Granny to Red. Of course, neither of them knew what to do. Within seconds, Red heard the familiar sound of the quad bike pulling close. Bang! The front door was kicked hard and the sound of it flying open could be heard. Everyone in the bedroom froze to the spot, including the wolf, who then took his gaze to the door of the bedroom, expecting someone to fly through. It was the woodcutter. An axe in one hand, a pistol in the other. Instantly he dropped the axe to the floor as the wolf leapt towards him in attack. Red took her hands up to her mouth and gasped at the exact instant the pistol shot the wolf just inches from his heart. He dropped to the floor with a whimper. The woodcutter was unharmed, yet he kept his manly guard up with great alert. Another shot into the head of the wolf saw the whimpering stop as he took his last breath. "God," Red said quietly with an outward breath. Granny released the blankets from the clutches of her white knuckles and visibly shook. "Okay?" the woodcutter asked and held out his left arm to hug Red. She threw herself into his chest and began to realise the enormity of this situation. Thank God he was alerted by the security of the forest who'd watched the CCTV constantly. Without his heroics, there surely would have been a bloodbath. Red took a deep breath. "Granny, I'll make you hot sweet tea. You just stay there. You just breathe," Red kindly said. Within several New York minutes, the woodcutter had removed the body of the wolf from the cottage and organised someone to come and deal with the bloodstains on the carpet in Granny's room. He was so kind. Red set several cups to make tea for all of these helpers who seemed to be floating around the house. So much had happened so quickly, her head was in a spin. The kitchen became still as the kettle switched off. The woodcutter stood in the doorway. He was watching Red. She still even had the hood up on her cape. She looked over at him. Her voice was shaking. "I've no idea what we would have done if..." "Shh," he told her, walking slowly towards her. "Done now," he said, carefully removing the hood from her head. Without words, he took a hold of her chin with his thumb and forefinger and tilted her head towards him. She knew he was going to kiss her. Closing her eyes, she welcomed this hero into her world.